Basketball gives us connections from North Georgia to South Georgia. We'll talk with Chris Tipton right after this on the Integrity Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the Integrity Sports Podcast, covering local sports in the Southwest Georgia area, creating content that is factual, positive, and informative, promoting efforts by athletes, coaches, sports administrators, and sports personalities. Thanks for making the Integrity Sports Podcast a part of your weekly routine. Now here's your host, Tim Estes.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Integrity Sports Podcast. Let's start by thanking our premier sponsor, Harper's Tree and Stump Removal. If you have any tree trimming, tree removal, or stump removal needs, Harper's Tree and Stump Removal has you covered. Give Keith a call at 229-314-2048 or at 229-938-2412. We've been doing this for 3 years now, and since day one, Harper's Tree and Stump Removal is the proud premier sponsor of the Integrity Sports Podcast. Our guest today has been a good friend of mine for many years. Chris Tipton is currently the head women's basketball coach at Maury County High School in Chatsworth, Georgia. At one time, he worked with the Maury County Parks and Recreation Department, and that's where he and I got to be friends. Chris, I appreciate you joining me today.
Hey, thanks for having me, Tim.
Chris, I think the focus of our show today is going to be about the importance of girls getting an early start in sports, especially basketball, since that's what we're in right now. I remember competing against you and your teams several years ago when the girls that are now sophomores and juniors maybe were 11 and 12.
That's right.
And your girls had such a successful run there. Sumter County really got a chance to compete with you and did well. And then last year, after several years kind of away from each other, you gave me a call and said, "Hey, Tim, we're coming to play in the semifinals at Georgia Southwestern. Could we come to your place and shoot around?" And you and I kind of rekindled that friendship. But, man, we got to talking about all these girls that were on your team and the girls that have had such success at Sumter County, and it's just kind of been a really neat thing. And here you are again, I think the number 2 ranked team in the state at this point. But, man, it's a neat thing that basketball does to connect these young ladies and guys like us.
That's exactly right. You know, we spent a lot of time, probably a lot of hospitality rooms, talking basketball and recreation those many years, you know, from I think another conversation we had, and I remember it was 7-8 boys we were hosting at Maury County, and you were telling me about this kid that was like the 100-meter 8 and under champion. And at that same time, I said, well, we've got a guy really fast. We don't offer track. And that ended up being Ladd McConkey.
Yeah.
That game. And so as we connected and started talking, I was like, I'm bringing that up. We were talking about Ladd and, and that those girls, and in fact, I call you and I'm like, hey, what about that one girl that hit those 5 threes in the first half, against, I think it was Calhoun, might have been playing in the championship that year. I'm like, hey, who is this girl? So if I ever made it down to play Sumter County, I knew who I was playing against.
Yeah, and her name was Aaliyah Magera, and she still stars for Sumter County at this point. Chris, we try to connect our viewers with things that they can really connect with that are relative in their world. Part of our audience certainly is women's basketball on the high school level. How important is it for somebody in your position as a very successful high school girls coach? How important is it for these kids to learn the fundamentals from the very early ages?
Well, it's not just important, it's crucial because the development never stops. And so if there's ever like a break in when the kids aren't developing, and that's why, recreation coaches, YMCA coaches are so valuable, not just the time they invest, and we know how valuable it is because, it's a volunteer thing. And so for them to pour into kids. And, they don't have to be rocket scientists. They don't have to be this awesome coach. They just have to be willing to teach the fundamentals. And if I have kids that, I'm getting already that are, they're fundamentally sound, it allows me to kind of shoot for the stars or higher. And so I'm so grateful for those recreation coaches. And that is crucial to our program and the success that it's probably actually having right now.
Chris, as professionals in youth and in high school sports, you and I get the privilege to watch these young ladies progress from the time they're kids up to the time they're teens and even young adults. One of the things that's always stuck out to me is those kids that are maybe average or a little better at the youth level, 10, 11, and 12 years old. And then they get to that high school level and, man, they really mature. And those kids that may have been number 5, number 6 on the depth chart are now some of your better players.
Absolutely. I think about the kids, actually one of my players, she was probably my second or third best player. I mean, I want to say she's, of course, in my eyes, I think she's the top defender in the entire state in AA. But, I think about her, from a fundamental standpoint, might not have been there early, but now she's just flourishing. And that is so, you're right on the money with that, Tim.
So real important that these girls stick to it and kind of get through the grind, because what they are at the rec level or the middle school level doesn't mean that's what they're going to be when they get to you. That's
exactly right. I feel like if they've got the basic fundamentals, I can turn them into a ball player. If they have a great attitude, they have a really good work ethic. Like I feel like I can make anybody a good basketball player because I'm passionate about it and I'm going to see it through for them. And so some of those kids, just like you said, that, maybe they had the fundamentals, but they just hadn't grown into their bodies.
Yeah.
And that development process and little confidence, you get a hold of a coach that'll shoot a little confidence in them. And, I'm probably one of those coaches that does a little bit of both, but my favorite players always tend to be that 4th and 5th player on my team, because I know if I can make them be better than who they came in as, our team is going to have massive success. And I think it's really, one of the pillars of our program now.
We hope you're enjoying our conversation with Chris Tipton. He's the head women's basketball coach at Murray County. If you've never followed the Lady Indians of Murray County, boy, they're on a run right now where they're one of the top teams in the state. I would encourage you to take a look at them. Let me thank our friends over at Carter's Fried Chicken. They're also a sponsor of our show each week. They're located at 206 Tripp Street in Americus. Owner Mike Shattles and his staff have been feeding Southwest Georgia for more than 30 years. They offer daily lunch specials that include baked or fried chicken, vegetables, and the best desserts in town, and they do it all at an affordable price. Carter's Fried Chicken is a sponsor of all of our local area schools and wishes everyone the best of luck. Thanks to Mike Shattles and Carter's Fried Chicken for sponsoring this segment of the Integrity Sports Podcast. Chris, another thing that kind of sticks out to me is that communities who invest in their young people at a very early age tend to create these quality high school athletic programs. I look at Murray County and at Sumter County. These two communities for many, many years have invested in young people through quality programs, quality professionals, quality facilities. And you look at what they do on the high school level, and man, that pays off, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Like I just think about your program all those years. I was in Parks and Rec for 14 years. And like I said, when we went to state tournaments, I always saw your program there and represented it. And so that speaks volumes in itself that, not only did your kids have talent, but people had invested in them prior to. You always had great uniforms. I think about that with Sumter County from, I think the first state tournament I went to was a soccer state tournament, and you guys had great uniforms and you just were always well represented. You could always count on your rec staff doing a great job, and Murray County is no different. They've invested in great facilities and really put the time in with those kids, and that's what's exciting. I think a community, I look at me in the high school program. Man, I have an awesome community here at Murray County that just supports our girls. It's probably 6 years ago. I think everybody came about the fourth quarter to the girls' game. And now that, they're getting there an hour early so that they get the seat that they want. And so that's just an exciting thing, but community's everything.
One of my former staff members now teaches at one of your feeder elementary schools. Michelle Janke Thomas is a former Sumter County Parks and Rec employee, so we want to say hey to her today. Chris, something else that's special to me are the relationships that are developed through youth and high school sports. We talked about last year you coming here and getting a chance to shoot around. It's just a mutual respect that we all have for each other over years. I now follow Murray County Lady Indians basketball on a fairly regular basis just because of that. How important is it to you as a high school coach to teach your kids to do everything the right way from the time they walk in the gym until the ball game's over and they leave the court? How important is it that it's not just about the scoreboard, but everything else?
Well, that's just a true pillar of our program. You got to do things the right way. And it's not just, dribbling that ball and shooting it in a hoop. It's how you carry yourself on the court, off the court, in the classroom. But it's also about those relationships like you spoke about. I talked to my girls about, man, hey, someone from our community cared so much about you that they were willing to come and do a pregame meal for you. Those type of relationships are crucial, and just, having a good friend like you and being able to pick up a phone and call somebody that is hours and hours away from me and said, hey, do you have a spot for my girls to shoot the ball around before we go play in a big arena down there that we've never been to? And just having that relationship. And what was awesome, your staff and yourself, y'all bring us Gatorades in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going above and beyond, and something I'm forever grateful for. So, I know if you ever have a team and they need a gym to shoot in, just give me a call. I might not be able to help you in some areas, but I can always find you a gym up here in Chatsworth for your girls to shoot in.
That's right. Hey, if you love women's basketball, you'll love this conversation. We're going to continue that with Chris Tipton here in just a moment. Let me thank our friends at the Marty McDonald State Farm Insurance Agency. They're located at 925 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard here in Americus. Go by and see Marty, Mary Lynn, Blake, or any of their staff and let them discuss their insurance needs with you. They can even do the famous discount double check to ensure you're receiving all of the savings that are available to you. Give them a call at 928-3686 or look them up on Facebook. Thanks again to Marty McDonald State Farm. And remember, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Chris, I don't want to get away from this without giving you an opportunity to tell us a little bit about your team in 2026. Before we do that, I want you to know, I remember meeting your assistant for the first time last year, Coach Ledford, I think's her name.
Yes.
And she was just so impressive. I remember she had a point guard daughter and maybe a post player daughter. And I think they're both back with you this year, aren't they?
They are. Callan just scored her 1,500 point. She plays forward for me. She's my lone senior this year. Just going to be, I can't imagine trying to replace someone like that. She just has a motor that will not stop. And her little sister's a sophomore. I think she's probably around 900 points as a sophomore. Just a phenomenal. Both of them are all state players. Mom's a great coach. definitely one of those parents that, hey, I'm going to push my kids to be the best, and I'm not going to settle, whether it's on the basketball court or anywhere else. And she's just been a great addition to our program, and it's a lot of fun. And of course, when you have players like her kids, they just refuse to lose. And man, if I could duplicate that, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Well, I saw where you got a big win this past week in the first round of the playoffs over Pierce County. I was really hoping that Sumter County would win in their opening round game, because that would have set up a Sumter County versus Murray County matchup, and two great coaches like yourself and Coach Sherry Harris. But tell us what it looks like in the playoffs for you. Who do you have next, and what's it going to take for you guys to get back to the state finals?
Coach Harris, I was really expecting to play Coach Harris and her team. I'd watched a lot of film on them, and she just does such a good job with her program down there. But we're playing Laney out of Augusta. Coach Smart, he's been there for, 30, 40 years. Highly successful coach, really good program. That's who we match up with on Friday. And so, the outlook's great. I mean, their team's huge. I have a tiny team. I want to say my tallest player is about 5'9". Their tallest player, and probably any team that we play going forward, might have a 6'1", 6'2", or they might have 3 or 4 of them. And so, but what you really can't measure with my girls is how hard they play. We went, we've played Hebron Christian. We on purpose scheduled an insanely hard schedule this year, and took a few lumps here or there, but it was really to prepare us for this time, and so, we're blessed right now that we're getting to be at home, playing on our home court. And so, but I feel like my girls have a shot. I mean, I really, truly feel, nobody's going to play harder than us.
If somebody would categorize Murray County Lady Indians basketball, tell us what you feel like this team's strength is.
Really like our relentless pressure on defense, and then just how hard every girl plays. I would say that's that. I mean, we execute pretty well on offense. We try to be really precise in what we're doing. I may not have a big girl. One day I might get one. I don't know. The future is not looking too bright. I went down and watched our 7 and 8, 9 and 10 rec teams play last week, just to kind of see, hey, what I got. I think both of those won district. So if you like women's basketball, I feel like I have a good little pipe, but there is not a tall one except for maybe in the 4th grade right now. So I'm gonna get older and a lot more gray before I get a tall one.
Custom Auto Sales is our final sponsor for the night. They're located at 907 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. Owners Lance and Jessica Stick, they've been fixing your ride for 25 years. Now they want to help you buy one. They've added major banks for even better financing and can handle any credit situation. You can reach Custom Auto Sales by calling 229-924-5558. Or you can check them out online. Go to www.customperformanceauto.com. Thanks to Lance and Jessica at Custom Auto Sales for sponsoring our final segment of the Integrity Sports Podcast. Chris, this is something I do every week, regardless of who my guest is. Most of the time, I know my guest fairly well. Coaching is a grind, especially this time of year. You've got to have a good support network behind the scenes, families and friends that keep you uplifted and encouraged. Tell us a little bit about who those folks are for Chris Tipton.
Well, I've got a huge support system, but my wife, actually, we'll probably go watch about 3 hours of game film tonight. Maybe in the bed. She, and she's right there with me. Like, she's scouting with me and, probably puts up with like, hey, why are you getting home this late? I thought your practice was over, but so supportive. She's the one I think kind of kicked me into this 5 years ago. I was a cool story is, I was in Parks and Rec and really needed 3 classes to get my teaching degree. And it had been just really probably God's calling on my life and how he kind of opened those doors and really showed out for me. You're kind of getting to see that in real life. But, I have 5 kids, so they got to hear me yell and support and cheer them on and coach them. And now they're up in the stands yelling at refs and cheering me on and supporting me as well. And then, like I said, a community. I got folks that, I might see out at a restaurant like, hey, good job, coach. We can't wait to see your girls at the next game. And sometimes that's just very uplifting that, hey, somebody sees something in your program that makes them want to come out and watch us.
Listen, now that Sumter County is out of the mix, I'm going to be pulling for the Murray County Lady Indians, and I'll make you this promise. If you'll make it back to the finals, I'll be there to support you. So
that sounds great.
Hey, man, I appreciate you coming on. This has been a lot of fun. I've always thought the world of you because you do things the right way. But we want to wish you the best of luck and make sure your folks in Murray County see this and share it. And we'd love to build an audience up there as well.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Tim.
And we want to thank you for making the Integrity Sports Podcast a part of your weekly routine. Please go to our YouTube page and hit the subscribe button. There's a difference between just watching and hitting the subscribe button. If we can get 1,000 subscribers, we can do a whole lot more on this show. We're a little more than halfway there, but we're averaging over 3,500 views per week. So no matter what platform you're watching on today, make sure and hit the like button and share it with your friends. Thanks again to all of our sponsors, Harper's Tree and Stump Removal, Carter's Fried Chicken, Custom Auto Sales, and Marty McDonald State Farm. For my good friend, Chris Tipton, I'm Tim Estes. Thanks for watching. So long, everybody.